And that's on page 22 of that book. And then finally, in Will Durant's book, The Story of Civilization, Caesar and Christ. Christianity did not destroy paganism, it adopted it. The Greek mysteries passed down into the impressive mystery of the Mass. Other pagan cultures contributed to the syncretist result. From Egypt came the ideal of the divine Trinity. From Egypt, the adoration of the mother and child. The Mithraic ritual so closely resembled the Eucharistic sacrifice of the Mass that Christian fathers charged the devil with inventing these similarities to mislead frail minds. Christianity was the last great creation of the ancient pagan world. And that's volume 3, page 595. Now, on the other hand, I read some encyclopedias here. You're going to find some other sources out there that would debunk what I've just read you, and they will approach it from another point of view that the festivals of ancient paganism are good. Okay? There's nothing wrong with it now that they are given over to Christianity. All right. Now we're going to go to, let's cross this guy out. See, we moved across that one I did pretty good on that one, right? Early America. Do you remember who came here before? Who was the first people that settled in the land of the United States of America? Okay, some groups, some names about the Quakers, the Puritans. Now, the Jamestown settlement wasn't really a religious community so much as they were sent over from England themselves as a plant, and they almost didn't make it, and then they finally made it. But they celebrated Christmas and Easter and all that because they were part of the Church of England. But the Puritans came over about the same time in the 1600s, and so did the Quakers. And the Quakers and the Puritans came from England. Oliver Cromwell, ever heard of him? He actually took control of the government for a while and outlawed Christmas and outlawed Easter and all that because he understood that even though that the Church of England didn't say it was Catholicism, they understood that everything that was brought over was connected to the Catholic Church, just under another name. And these things were pagan, and that they had no business being celebrated by believers. Okay? Now you might find this interesting. William Bradford writes this book, The History of the Plymouth Plantation. Now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, William Bradford was one of the people that lived during this time and wrote about it. It's been passed down. It says, note 13 on page 126, the Pilgrims did not observe either Christmas or Easter, since, as they said, they could find no authorization in the Scripture for such observance. They branded the celebration of these days as Roman corruption and declared that no one who participated in the customary rites could be called a true worshiper. Okay, those are pretty harsh words. And why are we focusing on the United States? Well, most of us listening are in the United States, and it's very relevant because we've been, our children are being taught lies in school. They're not being taught the full history of everything. And we need to know, especially from these things that we're talking about, what the true history of America was. Okay? Stephen Nissenbaum writes in his book entitled The Battle for Christmas. In New England, for the first 2 centuries of the white settlement, most people did not celebrate Christmas. In fact, the holiday was systematically suppressed by the Puritans during the colonial period and largely ignored by their descendants. It was actually illegal to celebrate Christmas in Massachusetts between 1659 and 1681. And there was a fine if you were caught celebrating Christmas. And it was 5 shillings, and I don't know what that would be worth today. Okay? And the reason was that most of the people that celebrated Christmas were intoxicated, causing all kinds of problems. They were unruly. And today that's acceptable, but back then it wasn't, especially in this religious community. Only in the middle of the 19th century, so the middle of the 1800s, right around the time of the Civil War and Abraham Lincoln, did Christmas gain legal recognition as an official public holiday in New England. Christmas was nothing but a pagan festival covered with a Christian veneer. The Reverend Increase Mather of Boston, for example, accurately observed in 1687 that the early Christians who first observed the Nativity on December 25th did not do so thinking that Christ was born in that month, but because the heathens' Saturnalia, and this goes back to Rome, was at that time kept in Rome, and that they were willing to have those pagan holidays metamorphosed into Christian ones. Okay? It kind of helps to go back to the people that first lived in this country. What did they believe? James H. Barnett, in his book, The American Christmas. Few Americans are aware that large groups of colonists objected to Christmas during the 17th and 18th centuries. Many loathed it as an abomination, even though others observed the occasion as a religious feast. Now pay attention to these kinds of people. In general, Puritans, Baptists, the precursor of Baptists, Presbyterians, and Quakers strongly opposed religious observance of Christmas. Now some of these people may have changed, these denominations, over time. But members of the Church of England, remember the people that were coming over that represent the Church of England, some of them, the Dutch Reformed, the Dutch, Lutheran and Roman Catholic churches, as well as German sects, carefully followed their traditional celebrations. Religious, ethnic, and national ties were intermixed in defining attitudes toward the festival. We came across something on the internet. I believe it's true and accurate, but I'm throwing a word of caution out there, and I'm bringing it up here. And to those out on the internet, we are looking for help. We're trying to verify this. It's a congressional record from 1971. I have done some research in it this week that they only have everything digitalized back to 1993. So if you want to get congressional records of what was put down in the record of Congress, for 1971. It's actually combined 2 years together, 1971 and 72. You have to actually go to a federal type of library that houses these things. And we would like to get something, if someone knows anything about it, if someone has information or knows anything about government files in this area, we would like to have something that is certified from a library, some type of seal, something that recognizes it as being authentic, an authentic copy of it. If you have information, please contact the ministry. And this is the reason why, because we'd like to put it up if we can get that verification. This is the quote we have. And by the way, for those of you that might have information, it's congressional record. Let me write it down, the number. E13461. Congressional record. It's actually titled Congressional Record E13461. It's dated December 14th, 1971. And we just want to be absolutely perfect and have a documentation on this, but I'm going to share to you what it says that we have, understanding that we don't have that documentation. Everybody understand what I'm saying? Yeah. All right. So 81, 91, 2001, about over 35 years ago, this is what we have. This is the quote we have so far that we're working with. As Christmas came down to us today, it is a rich heritage of customs, traditions, folklore, and legend drawn from many lands and people. The ideal of celebrating on or about December 25th was born among ancient people long before the birth of Christ. In Rome, it was the Dies Natalis Invicta Solis, the birthday of the unconquered sun. In the same manner, other customs originally pagan in origin have been assimilated into our Christmas heritage. The decorative tree, the glowing candles, the story of Santa, stockings by the fireplace, greeting cards, and Yule logs. All are now associated with the birthday of Christ, end quote. You can understand why we want that documentation, because if we get it and we can verify this coming from a congressional record, we can put that up on the website for everybody to see. Okay? But a word of caution, we need that proof. Help us out, people out on the internet. Help us out. I know there's people out there that have information.